What's going on, you guys? So today I want to answer the question, what is Keyforge? Because you've probably heard about it. It was one of the most exciting announcements coming out of Gen Con this year, and it totally struck me by surprise. Not only because of the fact that it came after Star Wars, because usually the Star Wars stuff is kind of the big main draw, at least for me, but also the fact that it's a Richard Garfield game, which is huge because this is the guy who brought you game systems like Netrunner and, oh, by the way, Magic the Gathering. Maybe you've heard of that. So huge name in gaming, and has a lot to do with contributing towards the shape of gaming as it is today. So, but not only that, this is a unique game. This is actually the first of an entirely new system of games called unique games, and this is actually, I think, Fantasy Flight is trademarking this, this term of unique game. But it's not just a term; it's actually a whole concept, and it's not the only unique game. Actually, speaking of unique games, like what are they, and how is Keyforge a unique game? Basically, the simplest way to put it is, everything about this game is unique. Every experience you have with it is going to be unique. There are no duplications. You're never going to play the same game twice. Now, you may have heard that before, but this is a card game, and every deck is unique. And this is a concept that they're really taking the ball and running with. As a matter of fact, they just announced a new game called Discover Lands Unknown, and this is a board game, like a tabletop multiplayer board game, almost with meeples and everything, and every box's contents are unique. Now, how are they able to actually do this? Well, a lot of it has to do with just, improvements in printing, and that they don't just have to have an assembly line printing the same, 200 cards to go into every single box, verbatim. They can actually, give every box a unique set of cards, or a unique set of components, or just have different combinations. And so that's kind of, I don't really know much about Discover Lands Unknown, but it's the second in a series called Unique Games. But this is the first. Keyforge is the first in a series of unique games. And by learning more about the way Keyforge is going to work, I think we can kind of anticipate more about how other unique games will follow. And the concept is just, it's very interesting. Like, I'm not totally sold on it yet, but I'm very intrigued. And based on me being fortunate enough to be at the in-flight brief, I did actually get 2 decks of Keyforge, which I have sleeved. Since they're unique, I can never get replacements for these. So I've been able to play it a little bit, and I gotta say, I really like it so far. And I will be doing a how to play coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Also, I'm going to talk about some giveaways at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that as well. So let's talk a little bit more about the specifics of Keyforge. First off, it's going to be available. They're shooting for around Thanksgiving time, so it should be Q4 of 2018. It will come in multiple different formats. Basically, you'll be able to get a core set and extra decks. Now, the core set is going to have 2 standard decks. Now, this is the only time you actually get stuff that's not unique, because for learning purposes, your 2 starter decks are going to be the same for every core set. So everybody will at least be introduced to the game the same way. But you're also going to get 2 random decks in there as well. And this is a fun game. I like the randomized decks thing is amazing. But additionally, after the core set, you can buy regular decks for $10 a pop. $10 a pop for a 37 card deck. And that's, every single one of them is going to be totally unique. So how is it exactly? This is really a foreign concept to a lot of people. So let me explain how they're going to be totally unique. First off, the card art on the back of the deck, totally unique. They're using complex variables and random bits of color, artwork, symbols, and words to create a completely unique system. So I've got Emperor of the Fallen Other as one of my decks. And it's just in the same way, if you've ever played like games like Diablo or I think Borderlands, how they'll use like a naming system just to give everything a unique name. They're doing that like ×4 here, because they're using symbols, and they're using colors, and they're using images, procedurally generated images, and also words. So this one might be the Emperor of the Fallen Other. There might be the Queen of the Fallen Other. There might be the Emperor of the fallen Whoozits. There might be the queen of the fallen Whoozits. There might be the dirty queen of the fallen Whoozits. You know, and I'm speculating as to possible names because they're procedurally generated. There's no list of them. But in addition to the card backs being unique, the combination of cards that you're going to get are going to be totally unique as well. And so now you will see duplicate cards. There's over 300 cards in this base set. I want to say close to 400. I don't have the exact count, but there is an awful lot. And there's basically every deck is going to get its own unique combination of those cards. And that is another very interesting thing in itself, because that means a couple of very interesting things, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later when we talk about why and what benefits does this give to gaming. So in this world, basically, this game is all about, you know, it's a dueling game, very similar to Magic the Gathering and other card games, and other competitive card games. It has 7 different houses or factions, or think colors in Magic the Gathering. It has 7 different ones. Each deck is going to have 3 within it. All right? And so that's another way that they further randomize every deck, because your deck may play similar to this one, but you have different houses. As a matter of fact, the 2 decks that I have both have 2 of the same houses, and it's the 3rd house that's different. So there's 3 more houses that I haven't even seen yet. So, or at least I don't have access to yet at this time, which makes me very eager to actually pick up a couple more decks. But so, you know, they're each going to have a unique back, a unique name, a unique combination of houses, and within those houses, a unique combination of cards that can fit into the 37 cards. And there's no trading in this game. You cannot trade cards because the deck will be, you'll have a different back. And in addition to the back, the name of your deck is also going to appear on the front of each card. So, you know, even if you were to try to use opaque sleeves, which I believe in tournaments you're not going to be able to. They'll have to be completely clear if you wanted to sleeve stuff. That's why I went with clear sleeves, because, you know, that just seems like the most common sense way to do it. But there's no trading. There's no deck building. So even if you have 3 different decks, they're all going to stay exactly the same. You can't manipulate them. And the benefit of that, there's a number of benefits, but one of the biggest benefits is there's no meta. And that's really why. Why have they made a game like this? What is the point? And I think the point is, a lot of games, let's take Star Wars Destiny, a game I played a lot when it first came out that I really don't play so much anymore. It's because when a game is brand new, and you notice this when you play a lot of these games, the most fun, I think, I mean, and correct me, if you disagree, let me know in the comments below, but the most fun when a game is new is when a game is either new or when there's a brand new wave that comes out, because at that point the meta hasn't settled yet, so everything is viable. You go to play at maybe an event, and you play like maybe 4 or 5 games, and every game is different. Every game is unique. You have a ton of different experiences, and you don't find yourself boiled down into this situation where there's only 3 viable competitive decks, and if you're not running one of those 3, then you get laughed out of the store. You know, and that's something that's never going to happen in this game. Well, at least that's the plan. I mean, it would be, and it's very, very likely they have a good system in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. First off, this game lends itself very, very well to a draft or sealed type of format. You can't actually draft, but what I mean is that you can have a blind tournament where everybody just gets a deck, has to open it up and play it, and is made specifically to work that way. So it's very, very simple, and that's a great way to play and have no idea and be on completely even footing with everybody else. So every deck is going to be new, and for only $10. I mean, the price is absolutely right. I mean, I have no problem, even if you're not really a card gamer, and I'm not as much of a card gamer anymore, I'm much more of a miniatures gamer, but I have absolutely no problem dropping $10 once every couple of months for a new game to completely reignite my experiences. And on top of that, even if you stop playing this game, and you want to come back to it, like, assuming it's successful and is still living a couple of years from now, just come back to it one day, $10, buy one more deck, and you're back in. You know, so it's like there's almost no financial commitment. Like, I know Destiny, I would spend easily $100 or $200 each wave on multiple booster boxes to try to get all of this stuff, to try to get a full set of everything, to try to, and you don't have to do that with Keyforge. I think this is going to be one of the biggest appeals for a game like this. Every deck is going to be new. I also think you're going to run out of opportunities to grief another player. And what I mean by that is certain decks that are designed to have a negative play experience for somebody else. A deck that you specifically build just to make somebody else discard all of their cards. Personally, for me, that's one of my biggest pet peeves in competitive gaming, is that when you're just denying your opponent the ability to actually play the game. That's one of the reasons I got out of Destiny, is that I just didn't like all of the mill and discard that was settling into becoming very competitive. It wasn't fun, and I didn't have a good time playing anymore, and I don't think you should ever play a game that makes you feel miserable. And so I was starting to feel that way for a little bit. So, I liked the system of Destiny, I just didn't like the fact that the meta was settling into a place that I wasn't comfortable. And since there's not really going to be a meta in a game like this, then I think that's going to be a really good sign. Now, you probably have a lot of questions, and I will do my best to kind of answer some of them ahead of time. Now, first question that most people ask is, what's going to happen when somebody just has a really, really good deck? Because every deck is randomly generated, you're probably going to run into decks that are just extremely powerful. Well, there's a built-in handicap system for this game to address that, and it's called chains. And basically, it's a counter or a token that when a player gains a chain, they're going to draw less cards, depending on how many chains they have. It's not a 1-for-1 ratio. There's actually a chart for it in the rulebook. But the more chains you have, the more turns of drawing less cards you have, and each turn you'll lose one chain after you draw one less card. But if you get enough chains, you'll start to draw 2 less cards, or even 3 less cards, and you'll have a lot less weapons at your disposal. So it has a built-in handicap system for that. Now, how do you get chains? Well, there's a couple of different ways, but the first way is that certain powerful cards will say that you're going to gain a chain outright. If a card does something very, very strong, it automatically gives you a chain. But there are other ways to gain chains, and basically the rules talk about if a deck is proven to be very, very strong in casual play. Like if you and me are in an airport, we're waiting for a flight, and we're playing some Keyforge, you beat me 3 times in a row, I'm like, all right, your deck is clearly stronger than mine, and so let's have you start out with a 4-chain handicap. And so that's kind of a house rule, built-in way to try to balance the decks. But there are also going to be tournament rules for sanctioned play for how other decks will gain chains. Now, these haven't been made public yet, but they could be anywhere from, if you play more than 3 cards in a turn, gain a chain for every card beyond the 3rd. If you start to gain amber, which is the currency, and that's kind of how you win, is you gain 6 amber, you can forge a key, and the first player to forge 3 keys wins. So if you start, gaining amber at a faster rate, maybe you'll gain chains from that. And I'm just speculating because these aren't final yet, but that's kind of how it seems to me after playing several games. There's numerous ways, and because these rules aren't finalized yet, that means they can always adopt them. But basically, I'm not 100% sold on this game yet, but I'm pretty darn intrigued so far because based on what I've played, which is only really 2 decks, I really like it. I like it a lot. It's different. It's light. It's quick. And it's fun. It's actually fun. So I'm totally digging that. I will be doing a how to play video, and I'll be using the 2 decks that I have and talking about some of the differences between them and some of the things that we see in the different houses or factions within the game. And hopefully you will find that helpful as well. But now I do want to talk about some giveaways that I have going on right now. So first off, giveaway for all of my YouTube subscribers. I have some interesting stuff that I'm going to be giving away. Speaking of card games, I'm going to be giving away some Destiny promos. So from Star Wars Celebration 2017, we have a Krennic and Jyn card, and also from Gen Con we have Dr. Aphra, and from San Diego Comic-Con a Rex. So I'm giving away all 4 of those to 1 lucky subscriber. All you have to do is become a subscriber and leave a comment on this or my how to play video. So basically this one's different. Normally it's any of my videos. This one, for this particular giveaway, has to be on one of my Keyforge videos which I only have 2 planned right now. This one as well as a how to play video. If I'm able to get some more decks and the response is well enough, I may start covering Keyforge a little bit more as it gets closer to release time. We might do some deck analysis or whatever, and I'm open to feedback for that. If it's something that you are interested in, I'm very happy to cover it some more because it's such a light game. It doesn't require a whole lot of study and effort on my part. I think it's something that I could probably incorporate into my schedule of game coverage. Now, on to also some X-Wing promos, which are going to go up on Patreon. So all of you out there, as just another way for me to thank you for your support, I am going to be giving out from San Diego Comic-Con, a Lando Calrissian promo, as well as the double-sided Darth Vader that I teased a little bit earlier in the month. It's got an X-Wing 1.0 Vader on one side and an X-Wing 2.0 Vader on the other side, whereas the Lando just has a X-Wing 2nd Edition advertisement on the back. So I will post that in Patreon, so you guys can take a look at that, and if you are interested in that, comment on it. Basically, the higher your tier, the more entries you get, and then I will pick a winner. These will run for a week, so next week I will announce the winners for both of these. So if you're interested, go ahead and hit that like button if you like this video. If you if you appreciate it, if you want to see more on Keyforge, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and leave a comment to make sure that you're entered for this giveaway. And I think that's about all I've got for you guys. So don't forget to check out Crabbok.com as well. And you can hop into Discord and chat as well if you guys think I should. If you guys are really interested in Keyforge, as it comes out, I may create a Keyforge chat room as well. But you're more than welcome to hop in there and talk with us some more. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.